Hey everyone. Think history is boring dates and dusty books? Think again. Hans Steininger, an Austrian mayor, accidentally broke his neck by tripping over his 1.4-meter beard, and Bobby Leach survived going over Niagara Falls in a barrel, only to die later after slipping on an orange peel. Even ancient medicine was wild. Trepanation, drilling holes in skulls, actually had survival rates of over 80%. History can be stranger than fiction. Subscribe for more. You know, history isn't just about the big battles and the famous rulers we all learn about in school. Sometimes the real stories, the ones that tell us the most about who we are tucked away in the footnotes, the ones that sound way too strange to actually be true. So let's dive into some of history's wildest, weirdest moments and see what they can teach us about ourselves, our vanity, our incredible resilience, and our ability to be heroes when we least expect it. It's a pretty grim question, right? But really think about it. History is just littered with people meeting their end in the most bizarre, unexpected ways imaginable. It makes you wonder what could possibly go that wrong. Which well brings us to our first story. Okay, so this is Hans. He was a beloved mayor back in the 16th century, from a town right on the border of what's now Austria and Germany, and his claim to fame, this magnificent 4.5-foot-long beard. I mean, look at that thing. He usually kept it all rolled up and tucked safely into a leather pouch, but one day in 1567 a fire broke out. In the chaos and the panic, Hans completely forgot to secure his beard. As he was rushing down a staircase to escape, he stepped on it, tripped, and broke his neck. His greatest pride and joy became his literal downfall. Now, as tragic as Hans's accident was, it was really just a fluke, a total freak accident, but sometimes our end feels a little less like an accident and a little more well-earned. Let's move on and see just how deadly a little bit of overconfidence can be. These are the actual, very confident words of a lawyer named Clement Vallandigham back in 1871. He was defending a man accused of murder, and his entire defense strategy, his whole case was built on the idea that the victim had actually shot himself by accident to prove it to the jury. He decided he would reenact the entire scene in the courtroom. You can probably see where this is going, can't you? So here's how it all went down. There were two pistols sitting on the evidence table. One was loaded and the other was unloaded. Vallandigham, totally intending to grab the safe, unloaded one for his big demonstration, mistakenly picked up the loaded gun. As he acted out how the victim might have drawn the pistol, he shot himself in the stomach. He fatally, and I guess successfully, proved his own theory. And in the most unbelievable twist of irony, his client was acquitted. And if you think that's a wild twist of fate, get this, it seems like the universe just has a really dark sense of humor sometimes. Meet Bobby Leach. He was a professional daredevil. In 1911, he did something incredible. He survived plunging over Niagara Falls, sealed inside a giant metal barrel. I mean, he broke his jaw, both kneecaps, but he lived then 15 years later. He was just walking down the street, and he slipped on an orange peel. The fall led to a nasty infection. Gangrene set in, and he died. He conquered one of the most powerful waterfalls on Earth, only to be defeated by a piece of fruit, okay? So from death born of pure pride and just bizarre twists of fate, we're gonna pivot to lives that were a constant daily struggle against some pretty gruesome ends. If you think you've had a bad day at the office, let's get a little perspective, shall we? So your Wi-Fi is slow? Someone microwaved fish in the break room, annoying, right? Okay. Now let's go back to Tudor England. A gong farmer's bad day meant cleaning out giant pits, cesspits filled with human waste. They had to work at night, often neck-deep in filth, and the risks were absolutely horrifying. They could literally suffocate on toxic fumes, drown if they passed out, or even get crushed if a wall collapsed on them. Sure, it paid well, but they were treated like outcasts because they constantly stink. Take a look at this number, 250 million. What do you think that represents? Well, that was the number of matches being burned every single day in Britain. In the late 1800s, it's an incredible number. But that convenience, it came at a terrifying human cost for the people who actually made them. You see, the workers, who were mostly young women and girls, known as the matchstick girls, were exposed to white phosphorus day in and day out. And this led to an absolutely horrific industrial disease called phossy jaw. It would start with something simple like a toothache, but then it would progress to abscesses, and eventually the complete necrosis of the jawbone. Their jaws would literally rot away. just a gruesome, painful fate for the workers who are powering the country's demand for fire, on demand but folly and hardship. That's not the whole story. History is also filled with these incredible moments, where the most unexpected individuals rise to the occasion and remind us what courage is all about. So let's shift gears and meet one of history's most unlikely heroes. This is Staff Sergeant Reckless. And yeah, you read that right. She was a Mongolian mare that a U.S. Marine platoon bought during the Korean War. And she wasn't just some cute mascot. She was trained as a pack horse to carry heavy ammunition. She was a full-fledged, respected member of the unit. And when I say she was a member of the unit, I really mean it. She would just roam around the camp freely and developed a taste for some, let's call them unconventional Russians. She was known to eat pretty much anything. The soldiers ate including beer, chocolate, and even the occasional poker chip. She was truly one of the gang, but her real legacy, what makes her a legend, was forged in battle. During the incredibly intense battle for Outpost Vegas, in 1953, this heroic horse made 51 solo resupply trips to the front lines. In a single day, let that sink in. 51 trips by herself under constant enemy fire. And on those 51 trips, she carried a staggering 9,000 pounds of ammunition. Up to the soldiers, and what's more, on her way back down the hill, she would carry wounded Marines away from the battlefield. For her service, she was awarded 2 Purple Hearts and was officially promoted to Staff Sergeant, an absolute legend. So from fatal beards to heroic horses. What's the real takeaway here? Are these just a bunch of random, bizarre stories meant to entertain us? Or is there something deeper connecting all of them? You know, when you really look closer, these stories aren't just trivia. They're like a mirror reflecting the core of the human condition. Clement Vallandigham's deadly hubris, the Gong farmer's daily fight just to survive, Sergeant Reckless's unbelievable courage. These are all extreme examples of timeless human traits. They show us who we always been in all our strange, surprising, and sometimes glorious form. And that really leaves us with one final thought. We look back at these stories and we're shocked, maybe a little amused, but it really makes you wonder. What stories from our own time, the things we think are totally normal or mundane, will future generations look back on and find completely and utterly bizarre? What's our strange footnote gonna be?